Coach Penny here for the football engineer, and today we have Ashley Campbell, former under 20 international for Canada, former pro and all-time leading goal scorer and Hall of Famer at D1 Dayton University. Also the co-founder of the Top One tournament from the One Footy Co. from Ontario, Canada. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you tell me a little bit about what the One Footy Co. is and what you do with the Top One tournament?
Yeah, definitely. So, the One Footy Co. is a business that I started with my best friend. We've been playing football together since we were about 12 years old. And we run tournaments that are outside of the regular scope of how the game is typically played.
Okay.
So, you have your typical 11v11 tournaments, you have your 6v6 tournaments, there's even 3v3 tournaments.
Yeah.
And what we do with Top One Tournament is that it's actually a 1v1 tournament.
Okay.
So it's a different spin on the game. It really challenges players to, it just encourages players to be creative, to use their one on one skills, especially in attacking, but also defending. And the winner of the tournament will win a cash prize.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of a rundown of what the One Footy is in Top One Tournament.
And then what do the rules look like, given that it's one on one? Kind of explain what the rules and what the game looks like. I know it's not. I don't
Yeah,
think I've seen anything like that here in the U.S. per se, but I know there's globally some, and it's growing. So tell me a bit about the rules.
yeah, it was heavily inspired by Top Baller in the UK. So
Yeah.
they were one of the first ones to really start doing these tournaments and also producing a lot of content out of it. We're like, we've both been in the football community in Canada, specifically like the Toronto area for years. We know coaches, we know players, we know just fans of the game. So we're like, you know what, why don't we be the ones to kind of bring this here and start this? It's something different. So the way the rules are is if you I kind of like to describe it because people are more familiar with like basketball when players go one on one with
Yeah.
basketball, right? And they play with one net. Okay, so
Yeah.
they're playing against one net and they're switching possessions every possession. So
Okay.
that's essentially how it's set up. But there's a player at the top of the 18 who will be attacking, and then there's a player that is about 6, 7 yards in front of them that will be defending. You
Okay.
do a little you do a bounce pass,
Okay.
and then the play starts, and the player is attacking the goal, which there's also a keeper in net. So
Okay.
technically it's 2v1 because you have to beat your defender and then score,
Yeah.
but because the game is played within the 18, essentially it's like that's your advantage as the attacker, because yes, it's challenging, but it's like
Yeah.
you're within the 18 and you have a big goal, and yeah, you're playing against a keeper too, but the idea is that the attacker is using their own individual skill, their own flair, their own personality to beat the defender and score. So if you score, point for the attacker. If you do
Okay.
not score, point for the defender. So even if the keeper saves it, it's a point for the defender.
Okay.
Okay, so it's definitely a challenge for the attacker, right? This is like odds essentially are in favor of the defender, depending on the matchup, but
Yeah.
most times. So you really have to just do something creative, and some players like to use their speed. Some players like are more futsal based, so they like to use just strictly their foot techs. But it's been really fun. We've ran four up until this point. Our first one was in June of 2024, and we're the only, there's a few other groups doing it now in the GTA as well, but we're the only group to do both men and women. So we really pride ourselves on that, and we're hopefully moving into the youth space this year as well.
Yeah. Touching kind of what you mentioned on the youth space, what's sort of the long-term vision and growth, for the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, we started it a couple years ago, as I mentioned, a year and a half ago, and our long-term vision was this upcoming World Cup, to somehow be involved, as there's going to be games being played in Toronto. And so as a host city, we know that it's like maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity to run an activation or run an event or somehow get involved in what's going to be happening in the city for World Cup. But beyond that, beyond just this summer, we really want to just like I said, bring a different spin to the game and really give players an opportunity to showcase their 1v1 ability. Because I don't feel like, yeah, there that happens in the big game, in the big scheme of things, but when you really narrow it down, you really see a player's technical ability when it's just 1v1, like you cannot pass the ball. So in Canada, we play a different style. Like the men and women's teams and like the national program, it's always kind of been a different style in comparison to places like Spain, Brazil. And there's not as much flair in the development of the players when you're coming up in the system. Not to say that players aren't individually talented 1v1 because there definitely are, but overall, it's not really the main focus. So we just wanted to encourage that. I'm a striker. My business partner is also a striker, so we love scoring goals. We love being creative on the ball. And so that love for the game and that love for, scoring goals and being in 1v1 situations really just like also inspired the idea to bring this to men and women, but also, like I said, the youth too, because that's where it starts. That's where the confidence starts, where like in terms of like 1v1, especially 1v1 attacking, right? So that's our goal, is to inspire that side of the game, grow that part of the game a little bit in Canada. And yeah.
Yeah, I know you touched briefly there on youth development. I know you started footy with Ash, and you work kind of as a trainer. What's the number one mistake you see young players making?
I would say like I would say a big mistake players make is they want to get everything perfect. Like as soon
Okay.
as they learn something in training or in private, they want to get things perfect. When in reality, like you have to be willing to fail and to be
Yeah.
seen trying before you consistently start to actually grasp concepts and get your mind and body to work in cohesion with one another. I find whether that's a player who's training one on one with me, or even in just team training, they want to get everything perfect. And then the mentally, they start to talk down on themselves and they get down on themselves, when in reality, it takes reps. It takes you failing. It takes you being seen trying in order to really see that improvement in whatever you're trying to improve. So that's the biggest mistake for me. What the focus should be: effort. How much effort are you putting in, and like how hard are you working? If you're working hard, if you are getting the reps in, then eventually that technique or whatever skill you're working on, whatever part of the game you're working on, that's going to come. So I would say that's a really big mistake, is players just, I guess, not trusting the process and the journey, and knowing that you're not going to get it right away. If we're working on something, you're not going to get it this week or maybe even next week. It takes time. So just trusting the journey, being willing to be seen trying, being willing to be seen failing at certain things, because that's where the real progress comes.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves to, not just in the youth space and in soccer, but in life in general, to be perfect at all times. And it's one of those things where, all the new neuroscience and psychology suggests that everything that we do, all the extra pressure, just kind of puts down our confidence. And especially with the youth game, it's all about confidence.
Yeah,
They grow, and that's what allows them to develop. And if as we slowly kind of decrease our own confidence through that, then it makes it harder to develop.
exactly.
And then there's lots of trainers out there. What separates you from the pack?
Oh, I like that question. Yeah, there are a lot of trainers out there. What separates me, I think, is my journey was definitely not linear. I did not accomplish all of the goals that I necessarily had set out for myself when I was a young player, but I also did accomplish a lot in that time too. So I'm different because I can relate to a vast span of players who are the best on their team, players who are the worst on their team, because at some point I was one of those both. I was, I'll give you an example. I know you're in the States, so it's a little bit different, but in Canada,
Yeah.
we have like our state teams. So like
Okay.
we have provinces. It's like I was on Team Ontario.
Yeah.
U14, U15, U16, you train with the best players in your province in the off season, and then in the summer season you go back to your club team.
Yeah.
So I was doing really well. I was one of the top players starting U14, U15. I was captain, and then at U16 I got cut. I got cut the last minute before nationals, and that at the time I thought my life was over because I'm like, I'm 16 years, almost 16 years old. I want to play at school, but now I'm not playing in the best group in my province. Like, what's going to happen, you know? So I kind of had to work my way back up and really take that mental hit, and like confidence hit, and come back out of it. And you know, I got a scholarship away at school, and I still had to perform and show what I could do consistently, and really reflect, and like not be like, oh, the coach hates me, and oh, that girl's not better than me. And you know, yes, there's politics, but I also had to take responsibility for what I wasn't doing and why I wasn't picked. And so that's just a little example of kind of like how my journey went up and down. You know, I've been injured, but I've also had a lot of really great successes. And I feel like I have invaluable knowledge now to share with the players that I work with. So there's a lot of trainers out there. There's a lot of great trainers out there, but that's kind of what separates me, is that I have a wide variety of experiences through my time playing, and I'm still playing at a competitive level. So I'm still learning. I'm still trying to play at the highest level that I possibly can at this point. So yeah, I love the game so much. It's been my constant through life. And I'm really enjoying how I've stepped more into coaching as of recently.
And then when did you know you wanted to get into coaching? Or what inspired you to become a coach?
That's a hard question because for a long time, I didn't want to coach.
Okay.
People asked me to coach, and I was like, you know what? It's not really for me. I think at that point, I felt like I couldn't still play and coach at the same time. And then I dabbled a little bit, and I was playing and I was coaching as well. And then what I realized is when I started doing the private training, I really enjoy that more intimate one-on-one or like two-on-one coaching style in
Okay.
comparison to coaching a team with a club. So, not to say that I can't coach a team with a club, but I more so enjoyed helping players who specifically are coming to me because they have a goal to play at a higher level, right? When you're coaching teams, you have certain players that do want to go to the next level. You have other players who maybe they don't care as much, and that's fine because that's what the sport through youth is supposed to do, is determine like, you know, who wants to go to the next level, who doesn't, and then eventually as you get older those things get filtered out. But I really just enjoy the one-on-one sessions where we sit down, we go over like, what are your goals, what specifically are you trying to work on, and then really helping that player work towards those things. Right at the end of the day, it's up to them and the effort that they put in when we're together outside of our sessions with their team. But I like feeling that little piece of like, I'm working very intimately with this player and they have the drive to go to the next level where I've been. And I just have enjoyed that style of coaching a lot more than coaching within an academy or a club.
Okay, perfect. And then what advice would you have for a young trainer or a young coach?
I would say it's really important to reflect on your own journey. There's a lot of content out there, and like you see how other coaches do certain things, but it's really important to kind of find your own style and find your own expertise within the game. So, reflecting on your own journey, certain things that you've learned, things that maybe went wrong. And then, honestly, the best way to learn how to get better at something, like if you're a young coach stepping into the space, a young trainer, you just have to do it, right? Like anything, you just have to get the reps in. You have to do it. You have to coach. Maybe You know, because sometimes you coach certain things that you know how to do, but you've never taught
Yeah.
someone else how to do, right? So it's about being able to, like, because just because someone's a good player doesn't necessarily mean they're a good coach. Just because someone's good at math doesn't mean they're a good teacher, right? So it's really about just getting the reps in, and that's how you get your experience, is just,
Yeah.
you know, finding someone who believes in what you have to offer them, and you try to improve each and every time that you work so directly with the player, right? I'd say, like, also continue to study the game, meaning, you know, watch football, listen to other coaches that have coached at a high level. That really helps too, because when you understand the game better, then you're able to relay that to young players in a way that helps them, helps it get through to them better.
Yeah.
So yeah, studying the game, reflecting on your own experience, and just getting out there and getting the reps in.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And then what was your toughest moment? What was your toughest moment as a pro on the pitch, and what did it teach you?
My toughest moment was probably, I started out really good. I was scoring, and then I went through a scoring drought. And as a striker, that can obviously, like, take a toll on your mental when you feel like you're not doing your job. And I went through a drought of not scoring and just not playing to my ability, what I knew I could do. And that made my confidence drop, definitely. And what that taught me in that moment, looking back, like, I wasn't actually able to really understand what that was teaching me in the moment. But when I stepped away and I came home and I kind of reflected, and this is something that I try and pass on to a lot of the players that I work with too, is that in those moments you have to focus on what you can control. So, meaning, how much effort am I putting in every day? What am I doing on my own to ensure that I'm clinical in moments when I need to score, right? Am I maybe spending an extra 2 hours a week doing shooting or finishing practice? And then when I get into the game, just, you could be, what you can control is, like, how hard you work. Are you the hardest worker on the pitch? Most times when you're working hard on the pitch and you're getting touches and you're staying present, things are going to go your way eventually. Things are going to start clicking for you in the game, right? So it's like, in those moments when I felt like I wasn't performing in the way that I needed to in my position, it really taught me to just focus on what I can control. And that's not, you know, how many chances I get a game or this or that. It's more so just honing in on what am I doing in games and then outside of games in team training to ensure that I'm staying sharp and kind of getting my mojo back, right? Because it's all, that is all part of the journey. You're going to go through spouts of dipping in your performance, right? And you got to be able to get out of that, because have those games, those periods where things just aren't clicking, and you just have to push through that. So yeah, the mental strength that came with that lesson definitely stuck with me.
Then you touched briefly there on your journey. Along your journey, you became a Dayton legend. You're a Hall of Famer there, the all-time leading goal scorer. But what was the biggest difference when you stepped up from the college game to the pro game?
Well, the biggest difference, I was thinking about this today when I was driving. When you're a D1 athlete, you're essentially required to kind of do all the things that a pro does, but on top of that, you're in school. You're a
Okay.
student,
Yeah.
right? So when I turned pro, I wouldn't like, to be completely honest with you, the quality of football at the time in that league was quite low. It's still considered pro, but the training, I didn't necessarily feel like the training was always up to, like, standard.
Okay.
Like, in terms of intensity and stuff like that. And then that translated into games as well, right? So, yes, it's very demanding, but my experience in that country, playing in the top league in that country, like I almost felt like it was more demanding when I was in college
Okay.
because of just like the intensity of things, and like I had way more on my plate. So it felt more intense. When I went over to the program game, I could just focus on football, which was great, but I also didn't feel like I was necessarily being that challenged as an individual player. And that's
Yeah.
just me being like quite frank, right? I can't speak for others who maybe gone to other countries and felt like the level was higher, but yeah, that's what I would say. I would say like I didn't really play in a league or in a country where like it was a super big difference in terms of quality of play, or well, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I think people don't really realize how much mental and physical strain it is to be a D1 athlete, balancing school and
No, they
being on the
don't.
pitch. Yeah, that's a big thing that people
It's
don't.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
When people go to university and college, like they think their workload is a lot. And it's like imagine that workload plus you're training 5 times a week, plus you're traveling. So you have to study on the bus, you have to study on the plane, you have to study in the hotel, you have to find time. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. Everyone looks at D1 athletes, oh my God, they get all this free stuff and they get paid for this and that. It's like, yes, but they are putting their bodies, their minds, their emotional like through the ringer.
yeah.
It's a lot, and I think a lot of players want to be D1 athletes, but they aren't willing to take on what it actually is and endure it.
And then let's touch briefly on sort of your recruiting journey. How did you get recruited to go play at Dayton, and also how did you choose the Dayton program?
I was recruited at a Disney showcase. So
Okay.
my club team at the time, we traveled down from Canada to Florida. We played in a showcase down there when we were probably about 16 years old. And Dayton took interest. So by that time, I believe they were able to speak to me or my dad, and they said that they were interested. So we kind of, put them on the back burner. We know that like this one school's interested. There were a couple other schools interested as well, like, but they were more southern. And I
Okay.
wanted at the time to stay closer to home because I wanted my family to be able to visit if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So I was scouted at that Disney showcase, and then in terms of actually choosing the Dayton program, I did go on an unofficial visit. So I drove down. It's about 7 hours from Toronto driving, so it's really not too far.
Yeah.
Drove down, got to see the school, walk around the campus a little bit, meet the coach, see where we'd be training, see the home field. And I just loved how it felt like it felt big to me because obviously like I'm going from high school to a university, but it also felt quaint and like a community. So
Okay.
all the student housing was on campus. Like everything was like it was like this little city, like most campuses are, but I know a lot of campuses are spread out. Everything was walkable. I didn't need a scooter. And then at the time, Dayton was also 20th or in the top 20 in the nation. So not only that, but they have a great academic program. It's a private Catholic school. So smaller in terms of how many students go there, but just like high quality. So I ended up going with Dayton, just proximity, the quality of their soccer program, and then also education is really important too. So all of that considered, I chose Dayton. And then the cherry on top was one of my best friends from Toronto that we didn't play on the same team. We played against each other.
Okay.
She actually committed to Dayton as well. So they got me with that one. They're like, your girl's coming here. You're going to come play with someone who you know. And I'm like, oh, that does sound really nice. So yeah, I wouldn't change my decision for the world. I love the school. I rep the school, and it was some of the best 4 years of my life. So yeah, it's a great time.
And you scored a lot of goals while you were there and also throughout your career. What's something that players should do or learn to replicate and be able to score goals like you did?
Yeah, it's a good question. If you're a striker, I just feel like that should always be top of mind. You should always try and be the most dangerous that you can on the pitch. So I kind of mentioned this earlier, but like studying the game is important. Study the top strikers. Watch football and see some players that you like, and then go watch a whole game and just watch them play. Watch their movement off the ball, watch what they do in front of goal, watch what they do on the ball, all of the above. You know what I mean? And then you just try and emulate that in your own style. You have to have just a knack for goal. You have to be willing to do whatever you can to get the ball in the back of the net, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I think like preparation is really important too. So you have to have a certain level of composure, because in games you might only get 2 3 chances that are like clear chances. As a striker, you have to be able to capitalize on those things. So one really big thing that I like to talk about with some of the players I work with now is like creating a pregame routine. So
Okay.
getting your mind in the right mindset so that you can be consistent game after game after game. If you're not consistent, you're not going to score consistently, right? As a striker. So what I like to do is I like to move my body on game day. I like to
Okay.
meditate slash visualize for 5 10 minutes. And then before games, I'm not the type that's like in the locker room dancing around, like getting hyped up. I'm more so bringing my energy to a level that's like stable so that
Okay.
I'm not too high or too low.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I kind of like that's one of the things. Like, I don't just work with my players on the pitch. We also have mentorship sessions where
Okay.
we sit on a call similar to this, and we'll create a little pregame routine so that you can work that consistency into your system. And I think like that's one of the reasons why I was able to score so many goals was just like studying the game, my knack for goal, and like creating a system that worked for me, that helped me prepare for those moments and for those games, and to execute for my team.
And then who helped you kind of get into that routine, or when did you sort of realize that you needed that routine?
Yeah, I would say just like I don't remember exactly who or what, but I listened to a lot of like individual interviews with different players, and I was
Okay.
talking to some of the upperclassmen at the time too. And I think at the time, like a few of the upperclassmen had that system where like a few girls I looked up to, they had a pregame routine. So I kind of asked about it, and then did my own research and kind of created my own system. And I would say that was maybe a year into my season at Dayton where I created that. And I still do that to this day. Like this past season, I'm just playing semi-professionally now in
Okay.
Canada. So the league is called League 1 Ontario, and I did that for every single game, and I scored 19 goals last season in 21 games, and I feel like it kept me very consistent. So yeah, any young players who are watching this or listening to this, definitely try and incorporate some sort of pre-game, game day routine that can help you stay consistent in what you know you need to do based on your position.
Yeah. And then you've been consistent throughout your career. You also represented Canada at the U20 international level. What was that like to represent your country?
It was incredible. The World Cup that year was in Canada, so I got to play in front of all my friends and family with the badge on my chest, and I got emotional singing the national anthem before games, because it's just obviously an honor to be, chosen as one of the top players in your age group, in your country, to represent your country. So that was a really amazing experience. It also taught me a lot too because I didn't go into that World Cup as like one of the top 11.
Okay.
I think I started one game, but I was more so a player that came off the bench, which is fine too, because you need finishers in games, right? Everyone plays a
Yeah.
different role. But for me, I wanted to be a starter, but I just was not consistent enough to be a starter. And I think it was also, as great as it was a lot of pressure on me as a young 19-year-old. And I think a lot of times I let that pressure get to me, and I played scared to make mistakes at that level because you have so many eyes on you. And
Yeah.
I think like I was playing very inconsistently in and around that time. Obviously, well enough to be chosen for the roster, but looking back on it now, I think I really let the pressure get to me, and I was playing scared to make a mistake instead of playing to just like playing free. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
playing
Yeah.
free. I was playing so rigid and scared to make mistakes. And so, looking back now, I'm like, okay, that's why I wasn't chosen to play, 60 or 70 minutes, right? I still have my talent and excuse me, I'm coming off the bench. So, but it was an amazing experience at such a young age. It's something I'll never forget. And then I had aspirations to go play for the women's team as well. And that didn't happen. I didn't really get my looks. I got injured shortly after the World Cup at the end of my junior year, and that kind of kept me out of any camps around that time, which is when a lot of the players that I played with at U20 kind of made their way up to the women's program.
Yeah.
So I got hurt at an unfortunate time, but at the end of the day, I'm at peace with it, and I think like if I was meant to be there, I would have been there. I'm still grateful for the experience at the youth level, and I definitely carry that with me. Yeah.
And then what was the biggest difference in playing with the national team in terms of level of opponent, but also with the teammates that you were playing with?
Yeah, it was a big jump. I think because so this was right in between my season at or my time at Dayton as well. So
Okay.
after my sophomore year, came back for the summer, and that summer was the World Cup. So yeah, the standard was extremely high in that environment. There's kind of always players coming in and out of camp, so you're always like, my spot is at risk at all times. So it's a lot of pressure, like I said, but you also get treated so well in that environment. So that's always really nice. Like you're getting fed meals, you're getting put up in a nice place to stay, and like the way the Canadian Federation does things. Like I know there's been some talk around different federations around the world, honestly, and like
Yeah.
paying their players and more at the at like the men's and women's level specifically. But I felt like we got treated great. You go into the environment and it's a fun environment. Like people are all there for the same reason. And outside of the field, you're having a good time with your friends and catching up and sharing stories. You're all kind of at your own different schools and, sharing stories. But then when you're on the pitch, it's like, the standard is just it's so high, and they're tracking everything. You have your heart rate monitor on, your GPS, they're seeing how hard you're working in training. Like you can't really fake it.
Yeah.
At that time, like we didn't have that technology when I was going to Dayton, so that was kind of a big like difference for me. Like it just felt way more professional. I know most schools, like even Dayton now, they have the GPS and the heart rate trackers and stuff like that, but back in that was 2014, I played in the U20 World Cup. So I didn't have that at my school. We did have that with the national program. So yeah, it's high pressure, but if you lean into it, it helps you grow as a player. And I feel like that's what I did. I leaned into it, even if everything wasn't going my way.
And then, like I said, you've had a lot of success on the field, but what made you fall in love with the game?
Oh, I love that question. Just the way that the world disappears when I'm in between
Okay.
those four white lines. Like everything else, it's an addicting feeling. I started to get addicted to the feeling that I got when I like stepped onto the pitch and played. I think that it's a form of meditation when I'm out there when I'm playing. I just for those 90 minutes I don't think about anything else. And it's a really nice moment that I get to have with not only myself but other players on the pitch who are all there for the same purpose. So yeah, that's the beauty of the game, and I'd say that's what made me fall in love with it.
Yeah, there's definitely nothing else like it in the world for that bit of time. You can try other hobbies, you can try other things, but there's nothing like it. Even as a coach, just in that space where you get to work and think, about football and stuff. There's nothing like it for that bit of time. You get a complete escape from the world to just, and I think that's definitely the love and passion for it. But
Exactly.
but definitely just
Yeah. Every other game is like, yeah, I agree. Every other game is like so much stopping and going, and whereas like football, it's like you just play and like you just find this flow and like yeah, you stop at halftime, you stop at the end of the game, but like there's nothing like it, like you said. Like I love it so much.
and then you've been very successful off the field as well in life. What life advice would you have for others?
Life advice. I'd say that you have to be your own biggest fan. You can't be afraid to be your own biggest fan. Like, you might have a vision for something, whether that be in your career, in sport, and you have to believe in yourself, even if your vision doesn't make sense to other people, or even if, you tell your vision to someone and they're not as excited as you are. You have to be your own biggest fan. That's not cocky. That's just if you don't believe in yourself, who will kind of thing. So, it maybe sounds a little bit cliche, but honestly, it's so true. Just you have to believe in yourself undoubtedly and have faith and take steps towards the things that you want to accomplish without the confirmation of other people around you.
Yeah, definitely. That's solid advice. Now I have some quick fire questions for you, okay? So, what's your favorite genre of music?
Okay. Alternative R&B.
And then who's your favorite artist?
Probably Drake or Mariah the Scientist.
And then what's your favorite football club, sorry.
I watch so much football, but Barcelona.
Good choice. Good choice. And then who's your favorite all-time
Is that
player?
yours too?
No, I'm a Man United fan.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's not been a pleasant journey the last 10
No,
years.
I'm just kidding.
We'll get there eventually. But who's
You
your
will.
who's your favorite all-time player?
Oh my gosh. I love Neymar.
Okay, there you go.
I love watching Neymar play.
And then how about women's players?
Probably, I really like Marta. I really
Okay.
admire Marta and her career. She is still like 36 years old, I think, and she's still killing it in the American League, the
Yeah.
NWSL. I also really like hmm.
Yeah, Marta is 39 years old.
Yeah, insane. Give me a second. I was gonna say Trinity Rodman, but it's like I feel like that's too like there's some others more like underground players that I think are really good that I like. I love Croy Bethune.
Okay.
She plays for Washington in the NWSL. She is like if I could like choose players to come play in top one tournament, she would be like my number one choice because she's just so creative. She plays so different to like everybody that I see. She's a center midfielder, so she's not even my position, but yeah, Croy Bethune is one of my favorite female players for sure.
And then who is your footballing idol or inspiration?
My idol inspiration, I love Ronaldinho and what he stands for. I think that he talks a lot about joy and making people smile through the game, and I think that's so important because winning is fun. Like we all want to win. So yeah, Ronaldinho would probably be one of my biggest inspirations because of how much he talks about joy and smiling through the game and making other people happy through the game. Because yes, the goal is to win and to, be a high performer and play the game at the highest level that you can, but without the joy, that means nothing.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've really found in these last 2 years, I'd say, is like I found my joy for the game again because I did go through a period where I lost it and it wasn't as enjoyable as it once was. And I stepped away and then I came back and I've found that joy again every time I'm on the pitch, whether we win, lose, like I find so much joy in it. And I don't forget to smile. I tell my players this too. I'm like, you need to smile on the pitch. Whether you made a mistake or did something great, like at the end of the day, it's just a game. And if we're not enjoying it and we're not enjoying actually playing, then that winning, losing, all of it, it loses purpose. So yeah, I love Ronaldinho.
And then what's your favorite jersey of all time? Your favorite kit?
I don't know if I have one. I don't have that many kits. I would probably just say like I still have my kit from the World Cup.
Okay.
So I love that kit. It has my name on the back. It has the badge and it holds good memories.
And then I know your little sister is also a baller. Who's better between the two of you?
Oh wow, you've done your research. We're very different players. She's a lefty, so she has like a different style about her game just based off being left-footed. Up until this point, so she's 10 years younger than me,
Okay.
right? So I'm a whole decade
Yeah,
ahead of her in terms of like my career, my life. Like at this point in my career, I would say like I'd done a little bit more than what she's done at this point at 21 years old,
yeah,
but she's an amazing player and she's working through an injury right now, but I truly believe that she can go pro and she might be a little stronger than I was at this time when I was around her age.
yeah.
It just so happened that she didn't really get the opportunities that I got with the youth program and everything. But I don't know. Maybe we'll have to play each other in top one tournament one time, and we'll settle it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, definitely. She has played in our tournament before, but I've never played in it. I'm always hosting and kind of running the show, so I haven't got the opportunity to play in it yet. But we'll see. You never know.
Yeah, that would be fun. You guys should definitely make that happen at some point.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. It was a pleasure to have you on here and share your journey. So I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been great.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, once again, I'd like to thank you for your time. We'll make sure that we tag you in this so that people can follow your journey and follow what you're doing with top one and your tournaments and stuff. And but for now, till next time, good.